I am completely biased when it comes to sideline reporters. I'm married to one.
Yes, sir.
I remember the times when Suze was doing the Saturday games on ABC, some of the college football games. Tarico was in the booth, there were a handful of other analysts that she was working with, too. She worked with Gary Thorne. She worked with some great announcers. And Suze would be on the phone all week long learning about players and their stories. That's how we first met Sean Merriman. She covered Sean Merriman's story at Maryland and got to know him and got, like, photographs from his mom and all that stuff. And then it would be somewhat frustrating for her to be straight up with you about how she wouldn't get on the air sometimes and tell these stories that she was ready to tell because the game cadence didn't call for it. And then frequently, it would be boiled down to, is somebody hurt or not? Remember one time she called a game in Colorado, Nebraska. There was a fight going on in the stands, I mean, she did it all, and it was just hard work, and she would fly out on a Wednesday and travel through 15 different small airports to get to places, but she loved it. My God, did she love it, because she loved the storytelling, and she loved the reporting, and she loved all of it, and she was great at it, And we're seeing her here, obviously, in this chair, and the reason why I say it is I'm biased, and I'm living with one very pissed off sideline reporter right now, based on what Charissa Thompson said on the Pardon My Take podcast. Now, I first met Charissa when she was in the dues-paying part of her career. She was in the middle. She would be sitting there in the middle of the night at NFL Network doing updates and just sitting there doing nothing. And then, obviously, we've seen what she's gone on to do. And, her saying to Big Cat and PFT that she sometimes, on occasion, would make stuff up, because coaches were apparently not talking coming out of halftime. And then, today she put out a statement that it's the elephant in the room. It sure is. I have a responsibility to myself and my employers to clarify what is being reported. When on a podcast this week, I said I would make up reports early in my career when I worked as a sideline reporter before I transitioned to my current host role. Working in media, I understand how important words are, and I chose the wrong words to describe the situation. I'm sorry. I've never lied about anything or been unethical during my time as a sports broadcaster. And then she wrote, in absence of a coach providing any information that I could further my report, I would use information that I learned and saw during the first half to create my report. For example, if a team was 0 for 7 on third down, that would clearly be an area they need to improve on in the second half. And these instances, I've never attributed anything I said to a player or coach, which, I mean, straight up, I have nothing but respect for sideline reporters and for the tireless work they put in behind the scenes and on the field. Something she did say, by the way, in the soundbite before the one that was disseminated. I'm only appreciative and humbled to work alongside some of the best in the business and call them some of my best friends. And I'm sure she's referring to her podcast mate, Erin Andrews, who apparently on a podcast of theirs earlier, they both said that this is not the first time they had mentioned this type of reporting. And, straight up, I mean, again, I just went all in on my alma mater earlier. That's not what she said on Pardon My Take. It wasn't like 0 for 7 this. It was using the coach speak and coach cliches as a space filler where she didn't need to fill any space. And that's the part of this that's so frustrating. And I don't blame the sideline reporters for being so upset, because they are not space fillers. They are not. I just came off of games with Jamie Erdahl and Stacey Dales and Sarah Walsh, and they worked their asses off. And that's what this glib comment about, coaches weren't talking or whatever, so I just made it up. And she also said one time, I guess on her own podcast, that Rod Marinelli said something completely inappropriate. And so she just made something up because she's not going to call Rod out on the air, was the implication. And Susie was on the business end of that stuff too. And Chuck Amato of NC State, one time she did a sideline report with him. She said, is there anything that you could see? She's running off to the locker room at half. Is there anything that you see you can attack in the second half? And he looked at her and said, yeah, you. And then she ran after him and asked more questions. And Gary Thorne even said, she's running like Hudson, who was our dog at the time, And it's a tough job, and anything that makes it seem like it's a space filler or anything else other than what it is, which is a crucial part of a broadcast with dynamite journalists, is beyond the pale. It's the only way to put it. And I'm assuming Charissa regrets it. She should be apologizing to everybody in the business right now. Straight up. If that's in fact what she seemed to do, and that's what she said she did, and now that it's being appropriately called on the carpet. So, and everybody who was responding, well, I don't listen to sideline reporters anyway. It's like, okay, so you didn't want to know what was happening to Joe Burrow last night? You didn't want to know about any of these stories? What's going on? Yeah, you do. And these people are doing that job. And I don't blame them for going all in on this. So that's my 2 cents on the subject matter on that front. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.